again, Marco Severino from Flow Design Architects with another video to kind of teach our community make bigger topics and things that we seem that are important for us to share with everybody that is listening to this and looking at this video. So once again, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so we get a sense that we're doing the right thing here at Flow Design. So in the previous video, we start introducing a bigger topic, the topic of Windows. And in this video series, that's our main focus. The importance of Windows, when to use them, what kind of space you can create with Windows. And in this particular video, we're gonna focus in the topic of types of Windows. And the reason why we wanted to create this video is just to show people of you can create combinations of types of Windows to create something different within the space that you lived in or that you're trying to either sell and resell, and how you can use different types of Windows for certain applications. So let's jump into the topic. Types of Windows. It's important you as either an owner of somebody that is trying to invest on a property to kind of understand the types of Windows and when to use them and how to use them, because if you know how people are going to use the space, that's going to make a huge impact in how, in the selling value of this property. So for example, if you don't know, let's say you have the kitchen area and then you have a bar right off the kitchen at the backyard. If you place, let's say for example, a fixed window, a window that you cannot open, you will not be able to connect those two spaces. You will not be able to create kind of like a gathering space where people are in the kitchen cooking and then be able to connect with somebody in the backyard. Let's say you have a patio or something like that. So if you don't know the concept of, having a fixed window, having an awning window, having, these different types of windows, you wouldn't be able to connect those spaces together, which is why we are kind of creating these videos to inform the community in how to utilize these different types of windows and when to use them. So let's go into in depth. So types of windows, the first most simple type of window is a fixed window. A fixed window is a window that you cannot operate, you cannot open. So you see fixed windows in basements. They're typically kind of small. They're like about a foot 6 inches by, let's say, 24 inches. That kind of thing. They're small. You are just trying to use them to bring light in, but you don't necessarily need them for the ventilation of that space. So fixed windows are good, like let's say in offices. Fixed windows are good like in a basement. As a combination of different types of windows, you can use a fixed window because you don't necessarily need to open that window. Also, it's good to know that fixed windows are easy to clean. Typically, they don't have many mullions within them, so it's easier for you to just clean them and that kind of thing. So fixed window is one of the easiest type of windows, one of the most common ones out there. You use them in residential applications as well as commercial applications, depending on what you are trying to create within the space. So fixed window, very common. The second type of window is an awning window. An awning window is a window that you can operate, but there are different types. You can operate it from the bottom up or from the top down. So let's say if you look at this diagram, I'm basically showing it in a way that is from the bottom up. You can operate that window from the bottom up, but you can also operate it depending on the manufacturer and who you're trying to get this window from. You can get them so they can open the opposite direction. Now, I can think of many applications where an awning window could be sufficient. Let's say you are trying to have an office space, but hey, I'm in front of the water. I'm right close to the beach. I want the capabilities of a fixed window, but I want the breeze. I want to be able to get some air on that space. So you will use an awning window with that purpose, for that purpose there. Very important. We use awning windows all the time. You need a certain type of person to be able to use an awning window, just because you have to operate it a bit differently, and the way that it angles also kind of creates, how the air is gonna flow into your space. So very important. One of the most common use type of window in United States and here in New England is the single and double hungs. Very, very common. That's the one that you see in many residential applications. And the uses of this, the only difference is the single hung, you can operate it only from one side, either the bottom side or the top side of the window. You can operate it down, versus a double hung where you can operate either or type of the window. And with the double hung, you see, sometimes they have grill on them at the top. Sometimes you have grills at the bottom, so depending on the application. Single and double hung windows, you see them all the time. You can see them in most of the times in residential applications, and you can use them, let's say, for bedrooms. They're good because it allows, for you to comply with, let's say, a egress application for bedrooms. So double hungs, they come in many different type size to allow people to exit in case of emergency in a bedroom. So it's good for you to get familiar with different types, the size of these double hungs, in order for you to use it in terms of whatever you need in that application. In terms, let's say, emergency for bedrooms and that kind of thing. Very common. So the next one is sliders. Sliders, the difference, instead of comparing, let's say, a double hung, which opens vertical, the sliders open horizontally, either one way or the other. And this type of windows, you see them all the time. Let's say in kitchen windows looking to the backyard, you have a slider, so you can actually bring things, from the kitchen into that backyard. And those are some of the applications that I see all the time. Some people like to put them in bathrooms applications too, to kind of bring the air. Let's say in spring cleaning, you can open the windows and allow that breeze to enter the space. So I see sliders used quite often. I'm actually from the Dominican Republic, and sliders are actually more common back in the Dominican Republic versus double hungs, just because we use a lot of glass and there's a lot of rain and things like that. So a slider, it's way easier to kind of use, help the ventilation through the space. So very common back home. One other type of window is a casement. A casement is a window that you can operate both directions. Let's say if you are I don't know, in the living space, you can open that window all the way out. Those are kind of good in order to connect with two spaces. And I would advise you to kind of get familiar with how these windows operate and the hardware. So yeah, casement windows. So you can look at different manufacturers in order to kind of see how this hardware is being utilized, just because it helps you kind of, if you don't like different types of hardware, in order to maneuver those type of windows. So very important that you get familiar with the type of window that it is, casement, and also the hardware, how you're gonna open and maneuver these windows. And lastly, but not least, bay windows. Bay windows are kind of cool because I have clients in the past that were very clear and specific about having bay windows in their space. Bay windows, if you are somebody who likes to plant, who likes to, have some vegetables and things like that, like a small tomato plant. Bay windows are kind of cool because it allows you to, if you have a very small space, you could utilize a bay window to kind of gain space from the outside of that exterior wall. So, this diagram is actually very clear where this seal, I have seen many bay windows that have, let's say, a range of 12 inches to like 18 inches, 18 inches. And in that space, people that love to plant, I love to plant things and vegetables. So having a small tomato plant there, you can get some from different directions of that plant. And even to start your seed in the springtime, you could start utilizing your bay windows to put to put your little containers with seeds of vegetables and fruits and things like that, in order to utilizing that natural light getting into your space. So bay windows are kind of cool windows. Here in New England, we use bay windows all the time, and people, they like how they function. Sometimes you have a combination of windows within your bay window. What I mean by that is like you could have in your bay window a fixed window, let's say just by F fixed window, and you can have, let's say, a double hung in here. You can have a double hung window within that, within that bay window. So kind of cool because you could have fixed windows there, or you could have a combination. You can have double hungs on the side and a fixed window. Let's say you are in the sink, and you're looking out, but you want to have a clear view of whatever you're looking at. You can have a fixed window on this panel, and then have double hungs, have double hungs on the side. And what that will do for you is that you can open the sides of that bay window, bring some ventilation to your space, and then have a clear view with a fixed window looking out, let's say the water, a lake, the beach, or that kind of thing, or even your backyard. Then that way, like, you are using those types of windows to be strategic of how you are engaging with the space. So very, very important that you start thinking of how can I use, what type of window can I use in order to maximize and create very interesting spaces within my house, within my space, within your project. So very, very important. So to end this video, we're just going to talk about little examples of how you can utilize the different types of windows depending on your application. So for example, if you are in a living area, we're doing an elevation of this quickly here shortly. If you don't know what the terminology of elevation, look back at our videos, previous videos. We discussed in detail what an elevation in the architectural terminology is. So get familiar with those videos. If you haven't looked at it, look back at our playlist so you get familiar with this terminology. So we're looking at an elevation. Let's say you have a living area looking at the backyard, and let's say you have a door. So you have a door there. You could you have seen all the time side lights. This is a side light and a side light, where you have light coming in through your side lights. But you decide like, hey, it would be kind of cool to open up even more. What you could do is that you could have a fixed window right above, that door in side lights, to bring even more light into your space. Now, the only thing that you need to consider, you're thinking strategic, is the relationship of your ceiling. Let's say you have a ceiling of 10 feet. If this door is 7 feet, you only have 3 feet of difference between, the top of your window, your door, and the top of your ceiling. So, which means that you need to be strategic. You need to have a header right above this window, so you're kind of limited in this dimension here. This dimension, is an unknown. You could even have, a 12-inch, tall window by the dimension that you have for your opening here. Or you can have, let's say, 12 to 16 inches, just to be safe, on that end, because you're limited with this relationship here. So those are things that you start thinking like strategic, and always hire a professional so you are able to kind of have these kind of conversations with your designer. Hey, I'm thinking maybe putting a fixed window up there. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's a logical thing? How can we make this space feel bigger using the different types of windows? So this is an example of application for a fixed window. You could also, let's say you have a kitchen looking into your backyard. Once again, you could have a sliding windows. My apologies. You can have a sliding window. Let's say you have a counter here, with your cabinets, and you have your sink here. Let's say you have a sliding window looking at your backyard, but you decide like, hey, maybe that might not be the right kind of application. Maybe that's not what you want. Maybe you just don't want to operate the window that way. And let's say you are like, I think I like better if I use a larger double hung that operates up, but then I have fixed windows on the side to bring even more light into your kitchen area. So now the only thing is that if you have, let's say, upper cabinets, having this type of this configuration of windows are limiting on how much wall area you are using within that space. So these ones are very simple examples of what we are trying to discuss here in how you can utilize different types of windows in order to create very interesting spaces within your project. So very important. I hope this video is helpful for people that are trying to invest in real estate or are trying to create very interesting spaces within your project. So once again, thank you so much. And in the next topics, we're going to discuss, energy efficiency, code requirements, and how the windows can influence your space and your project in the future. So thanks again for watching. Into the next one.
Welcome to Flow Design Architects, a company that works with you and for you. Thank you for watching.